America. Tonight from wonderful old Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois, it's the San Diego Padres against the Chicago Cubs. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Physioc. This is Lary Sorensen. The Chicago Cubs have fallen on hard times the last 2 years. 2 seasons ago, it was Greg Maddux and Andre Dawson leaving for greener pastures. And earlier this year, it was Ryne Sandberg, the cornerstone of their offensive team. He said he didn't want to play baseball anymore, and the team, the last 2 years that looked so promising, has really labored.
It makes it very difficult for the players to get themselves together on the field, but the fans keep coming out here, about 1.7 in attendance again, and they have a bright spot. Sammy Sosa is one of 2 players in the big leagues with 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases, so he is leading the charge for the Cubs this year.
And Larry, it seemed like the Padres went through their difficult times last year, but now there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They might be sold. They've got some bright-looking newcomers, and they've got a great guy to build around. The old pro, Tony Gwynn, and he's shooting at 400 again.
When you put your stat sheet together and look at Tony Gwynn's average, you figure it must be late April, maybe early May. It's not. It's August 6th, and he's hitting .390. He said just take every at-bat as it comes. Don't worry about the .390 and try to go onward from there. I really like some of the young Padre arms. I think they're building a good pitching nucleus, and they have got some talent to work with coming up from the minor leagues.
And we'll see the brightest of those arms tonight in right-hander Joey Hamilton, who has a great sinker ball. He'll go against Frank Castillo. But first, let's go back to John Saunders in our Baseball Night in America studio.
Studios here on ABC. I am John Saunders. We'll get you out to the game in just a moment. But first, the news. The baseball strike is now less than a week away. In fact, there are no talks scheduled until Monday. They won't even talk about money. They won't get to the salary cap issue until Wednesday. There was baseball on the field today. The Cleveland Indians, an 8-4 loser in game number 1 of a doubleheader in Boston. So the American League Central standings look like this. Cleveland now a half game back. Kansas City just a game back. In the wild card race, one of the top 3 teams will be in the playoffs by virtue of winning the Central. Kansas City has won 14 games in a row. In the National League Central, Cincinnati up 2 over Houston. The Reds hosting Atlanta. Houston hosting San Francisco. The wild card race looks like this. Atlanta chasing Montreal in the East, but they have a 2-game lead in the wild card race. We will get out to your game after this ABC News Brief and a word from your ABC stations.
TV set, you just might be able to catch the sniff of hot dogs and popcorn in the air. It is a great old ballpark. Let's take a look at the lineup that Jim Riggleman sent to home plate for the San Diego Padres. Bip Roberts, who has been so hot, will lead things off. Tony Gwynn leads the National League, .390 average at second. Then it's Derek Bell, Eddie Williams, the reborn baseball player, 6-game hit streak. Scott Livingstone will hit 5th. He'll be the 3rd base. Craig Shipley, he also has been hot. Luis Lopez will be hitting 7th. Brad Ausmus, the 2nd-year catcher, on a 9-game hit streak, and Joey Hamilton still looking for his first baseball hit.
They will be facing Frank Castillo, making his 4th start since being recalled from Iowa. He got a win in his last start against the Cardinals, his 4th start of the year, rather. He got a win his last start against the Cardinals, went 5+ innings. He had a finger problem early in the year, was on a rehab assignment down in Iowa. Defensively tonight, behind Castillo, Sean Dunston will be back in the lineup. He missed a week and will be back at shortstop for the evening. The Cubs are very solid on the left side with Buechele at 3rd base. They're 3rd in the league in fielding percentage. They do have some problem with their range, however.
Well, there you see what Dunston has been doing, but again, those back difficulties put him out of the lineup. And here is Bip Roberts and Frank Castillo. So important to Frank, get ahead in the count, and there is strike 1. Roberts is hitting .450 his last 10 games to raise that average to .317. Man, he has been on a tear ever since mid-May. He finally got over that thumb problem. That pitch rides high and away, and it is 1 ball and 1 strike. There are the numbers. Bip had 3 hits last night, including that 2nd home run. A swing and a miss, and Castillo with a good changeup there.
Good off-speed pitch from Castillo. Beautiful night in Wrigley Field. Great night for baseball. 70 degrees, cool and breezy. The fans have packed this stadium one more time.
Roberts trying to drop it into center field, but racing over is Glenn Allen Hill to left center to make the catch, and there's 1 gone. Yeah, that That wind, the breeze might be difficult to read for a center fielder like Glenn Allen Hill because it's coming from right to left, twisting away from Hill, but he had to adjust. There you see it blowing out towards left, so the right-handers pulling on a Castillo fastball. We might see it off onto the street.
The wind is ordinarily pretty true here in this ballpark. It doesn't swirl too terribly much.
Well, here is the future Hall of Famer, Tony Gwynn, and I think we're about ready to say that. What a marvelous player and a great man he is. 11 home runs, 62 RBIs to go with that .390 average, which leads both leagues. And you talk about a professional hitter. There he is. And that sinking fastball is in there for a strike.
The thing that I love about Tony Gwynn is you see the defense set up a little bit to pull for Gwynn is that he works so hard at his craft. It is not just a God-given talent. He works very hard at it every single day.
Well, he lifts this one in the air, and Glenn Allen Hill will have a chance at his second out, and he records it. So 2 gone. When you get Gwynn on a fly ball out, you're doing something because he likes to knock it on the ground.
When you get Gwynn on any kind of
there
out,
you go.
you're doing something, and you're very pleased to do it.
I mean, he's been on base 45% of the time. And Frank Castillo doing what he has needed to do. Get in front of the count and get the batters to swing at his pitches. That is what he did 2 years ago. Last year and this year he really struggled. Last year he went 5-8 with a .484 earned run average. And he throws a strike. And Castillo is out of El Paso, Texas. Went to Eastwood High School back in '87. Teammate of Butch Henry. He was the Cubs' 6th-round draft choice, and he really flew through the ranks. Had tremendous seasons in the minor leagues, and until last year really had never struggled, and I'm not sure if he knew how to mentally handle it.
It takes a while to get used to adversity, and it's one of the things you must overcome, because at the big league level you will fail. Sometime in your life at the big league level you will fail.
Here is Derek Bell, who can make you pay when you fail in a hurry. He has tremendous power, 13 home runs this year, but Tony Gwynn will tell you, I think this guy is going to wind up hitting 30 home runs sometime in his career in a year. That's on the ground down the line. Buechele backhands. Nice dig by Mark Grace. A 1-2-3 inning for Castillo. He'll go to the Cubs half of the first right after this. Back to baseball night in America on ABC. It's the Padres and the Cubs. Let's check out the lineup that Tom Trebelhorn took to home plate tonight. He will lead things off with Sean Dunston, who is back in the lineup after a bad back. He has 3 leadoff home runs this year. Rick Wilkins, look where the catcher's hitting second, but he's a pretty good hit front man. Mark Grace hits third. Then it's Sammy Sosa, team high 25 home runs this year. Derek May has been hot in the power department, 9 driven in his last 10. Glenn Allen Hill will be hitting 6th. Then it's Steve Buechele in the 7th position. Ray Sanchez, the second baseman, hits 8th. Frank Castillo will be hitting 9th, the pitcher. And there's the pitcher, Joey Hamilton, a guy, Lary Sorensen, who threw a pretty good sinking fastball. We'll enjoy watching tonight.
Joey Hamilton throws a very heavy sinker. He'll throw it in the 89 or 90-mile-an-hour range with good movement. His changeup is his second best pitch. He is one of the cornerstones of this young pitching staff.
So compared to yours, you would say his is heavy. Yours had a bit of helium in it.
Mine used to sink a little bit further away from home plate than his has been. Usually out there in Waveland and Sheffield Avenues when I played for the Cubs.
Boy, these Cubs love to see you come until you were pitching for them.
A couple of things that I really like about Joey Hamilton and the numbers that jump out at me is that he has given up less hits than innings pitched, 86 to 97 in a third innings pitched, and a .240 batting average against him from opponents in the league. Those are numbers that are outstanding.
Big, strong young man from Statesboro, Georgia. And he delivers to Sean Dunston, and Dunston with a ground ball. Shortstop Luis Lopez. He throws out Dunston easily, and there's one down. Well, baseball night in America is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, the result of a relentless pursuit of perfection. By MCI, the company that brings you proof positive. And new Clean System 3 gasoline from Texaco. Steve Physioc and Lary Sorensen from Wrigley Field in Chicago. A scoreless ball game, 1 out in the bottom of the first inning, and Rick Wilkins is the batter. Joey Hamilton throws low. It is ball 1. Wilkins this year really struggling. .221 the average, only 6 home runs after a season where he hit 30.
Here is the defense for the San Diego Padres. That has been an Achilles heel for this club all year. They're last in the league. 105 errors they have made. When I talked to Jim Riggleman, he said that's the area they really have to improve. Tony Gwynn has been the most consistent performer for the Padres team this year.
A former Gold Glove winner. And the count to Rick Wilkins goes 2 balls and 1 strike. And when you take a look at the record in one-run games this year, that usually results in poor defense. And Wilkins hits it high and deep, straightaway center field. Derek Bell back at the wall. It is gone.
One thing Joey Hamilton will have to do tonight is get ahead of the hitters, because his other pitches are not as strong as his sinker is. He needs to stay ahead. That's a fastball that does nothing but stay right in the middle of the plate. Bell thinks he's got a chance at it. He drifts back on it, checks the wall. The ball just carries into that oh-so-hated basket at Wrigley Field.
And that is better than 400 feet. And the big catcher drives one, his 7th home run of the year, and Chicago's in front quickly, 1-0. Here is Mark Grace. He's hitting .292 this year. Cubs are in front. Mark's power production is down. And he lifts this one in the air, left field. Bibb Roberts says he has it, and he does for the 2nd out. Bibb Roberts has moved around. He's played a little third this year. Quite a bit at second base tonight in left field. Phil Plantier has had so many injuries to his arch, to his back, to his thigh. He is not in the lineup tonight.
Well, Biff is the kind of person that can move around and become a very valuable member. He's very happy to be back in San Diego after playing with the Reds the past couple of seasons.
There's the Biffster. Only goes 5 feet 8 inches tall.
On a good day.
You know, look at those forearms. I mean, he is powerful.
Yeah, strong man. Hit one against the wind yesterday. Nobody could believe it got out.
This pitcher Joey Hamilton delivers high, and the count is 1 ball and no strikes. Hamilton in his last game beat Los Angeles 5-4, and there's a look at those forearms, a little Popeye, Steve Garvey look. And they're steel pipes. When you touch them, you break your fingernails.
I think he's buying oversized wristbands to get over those forearms.
There you go. Here's Sammy Sosa. Not quite accurate in that RBI department. It's hard to have 25 home runs with 16 driven in. But Sammy popping this one foul near the dugout, and Osmus really had to check himself before getting too close to the corner of the dugout and has to let it fall away. It's 1-2.
Well, Osmus actually overran this ball a little bit. He thought it was going to drift further into the stands. The ball, when it's hit to the side, will drift back towards the field area, and he misjudged that ball just a little bit. He had a play on it.
You know, you're talking about the bright stars in the horizon for San Diego. This is one of them.
No
they
question
traded
about
a veteran, Greg Harris and Bruce Hurst, to get this young man, and he looks to be their catcher possibly for the next 10 years. They like his defense that much.
Very strong arm. Riggleman said that's been one of the bright spots for their club defensively.
Well, Joey Hamilton gets one in the outside corner, strikes out Sosa. Down go the Cubs, but not before Wilkins goes deep for a 1-0 lead. The Cubs have jumped in the Padres early, 1-0 on a Rick Wilkins home run. Baseball Night in America with an update. Let's go to John Saunders.
All right, Stephen, we'll keep an eye on your game as we show you San Francisco and Houston. It's harnessed to Barry Bonds. It's deep to center field, but it stays in the park. Enough for Darren Lewis, though, to just trot in to score as San Francisco gets on the board early as they chase the Dodgers 1-0 in the first inning. The Yankees and the Twins, Pat Mahomes facing Paul O'Neill, and this is simply crushed. It winds up 453 feet back of home plate. 18-3 are the Yankees since the break, and they know if the postseason started today or even after the strike, they would be in it. They have clinched that spot. Strike postseason, if you will. The Indians and the Red Sox. This is game number 2 of 2 this afternoon and today. Chris Nabholz to Carlos Baerga. That's over top of the monster. And the Indians trying to get even after they lost game number 1 of the doubleheader. It's 1-0 in the first. Back to Steve and Larry.
And thank you, John. And Cleveland started the night tied with Chicago for first place in the American League Central. Here is Eddie Williams Skying one to right field. It is taken care of by Sammy Sosa for the first out of this second inning.
Eddie Williams is one of the young stars that the Padres are looking to lead them power-wise in the future. That ball got in on his hands. Good movement from Frank Castillo. Shattered his bat. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, Williams, one of the great stories this year, 29 years of age. He's played around. He was a former first-round draft choice, but had to go down to Mexico and Japan to rekindle his skills, but has come back and played well with the Padres, and they needed him because with Phil Plantier going through the health problems, they needed that pop. And here is Scott Livingstone, and he fouls it off for a strike. Castillo has spaced 4. He has retired all 4, and the Padres winning last night, getting a great performance on the mound from Scott Sanders, who went 8 innings and allowed only 1 base hit. That is high and outside. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out in the second. Chicago with a 1-0 lead. I like that pitch thrown by Castillo. He seems to have a lot more movement than he had last year on his pitches, and he is thinking, well, with Wilkins setting up away, that pitch just tailed away from the hitter.
The big thing that he has to look for is he wants to get 2 plane movement. You see how flat that pitch is going to the outside part of the plate. You want to get on top a little bit and get the ball going
like
down
that.
in the strike zone.
Yow, and
That's an
Scott
off-speed
Livingstone
pitch and a good one.
strikes out. Well, next Saturday, Baseball Night in America is scheduled to return with a Central Division matchup, and you have a chance to see. You've got to check your local listings to stars like Frank Thomas and Wade Boggs. The White Sox started the night tied for first place with Cleveland, and of course the Yanks just running away with theirs. That is 7 Central, 6 Mountain here on ABC.
Say what you want about realignment. I love the pennant races that we've got
too.
going on now. New teams, new blood, good races.
You know, you can go back to 71 when they switched it. Then everybody said, oh no, it's going to be terrible. But I've talked with some of the old timers back in the 30s and 40s, and they'll say, hey, when the Yankees were 30 games up on everybody, they'd go into Detroit or Cleveland and there'd be nobody there.
Exactly right. There's always somebody here at Wrigley, though, isn't there?
No. I remember coming here in the early 80s. There were 23 games out in September. Places packed.
Averaging 31,000 a game this year. With the
And you were pitching. I'm sorry. That's 3 needles I've gotten in tonight.
Oh, it's a long
I've got 11
night.
more on my list.
It's a long night.
That is hit in the air, right field side, long run for Mark Grace. On comes Sosa to call everybody off, and he makes the catch. Castillo, a perfect 2 innings. He's faced 6. He's retired all 6. 1-0 Chicago. If this picture was in my daughter's highlights magazine, the question would be, what's wrong with this picture? Why is the National League West in the center instead of the National League Central Division?
Well, it's probably something very serious, like there's the clock, so it's in the way and there's less room there. There's only 4 teams in the West.
I always figured left was west. I guess it's, unless you're pointed south,
The
and
left
then you're
coast,
right with
there
you.
you go.
But it is Chicago 1 and San Diego nothing. On the inside corner for a strike, 0-2.
What I like about the scoreboard is the fact that they don't even list all the American League games. They only show 6 of the 7.
Is there another league? I didn't think there was. There's a fly ball left field. Derek May with the catch. Or excuse me, Biff Roberts with the catch. And 1 out here in the second inning. There's the American League.
Unbelievable. Saturday night, and there's only 12 teams playing.
We say that tongue-in-cheek. You're from an American League city in Detroit. I'm from an American League city in Kansas City. And there's some scores from around baseball. The Giants are in front. Bonds with another RBI. He now has 80 on the year. And the Cardinals are in front of Pittsburgh 1-0. But can the St. Louis pitching staff survive? Glenn Allen Hill, the batter, has had a strong year. The average of 302 for several years. His growth with the Toronto Blue Jays, with the Cleveland Indians, who was some question with Glenn Allen Hill would ever hit in the 290s or 300s. Well, here he is. And he's come on strong under the tutelage of offensive coordinator Billy Williams. Tom Trebleheron must be a football fan. He's got an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, and that man runs the offense.
There's Whistler, and if I had him on my staff, I'd let him. He knows all about it.
There's a chopper up the middle. It is taken by the second baseman, Craig Shipley, and he just barely gets Glenn Allen Hill. Now, would that make Chuck Cottier the receivers coach because he's the defensive instructor?
Possibly. You got a little football on the mind, don't you?
Oh, gosh. A little bit. There is Wrigley Field. And
wonderful place. Great place to be unless you're a middle relief pitcher and the wind's blowing out, and that's the only time you got to pitch at Wrigley was when the wind was blowing out.
That's when your ERA goes from 3.5 to 6.5. 2 outs and Steve Buechele the hitter. Steve takes it in the outside corner right at the knees. A good sinking fastball from Joey Hamilton. He has gone deep 14 times with the average only at 245. Well, he went after that one as it busted down with a late break, and up throwing is Luis Lopez in an easy 1-2-3 inning for Hamilton, but he finds himself down to Chicago 1-0. Steve Physioc, Larry Sorensen back on Baseball Night in America, and that is the house just across Sheffield Avenue, and they have a beautiful view here of Wrigley Field. They get a shot at Steve Buechele as Frank Castillo gets set to work with the number 7 hitter in the San Diego lineup, Luis Lopez.
They didn't sit up there when I pitched here. Something about an insurance problem with the club with missiles out there and all that kind of thing.
There you go. And I didn't bring it up this time. You were telling me during the commercial break about you would come to the ballpark with an old friend, an offensive player, Keith Moreland, who was a catcher and an outfielder.
Right. He played right field for a lot of years here in Chicago, and every day one of us would be ticked off because we'd see how the wind was blowing with a flag on the way in, and either I'd be happy or he'd be happy because we'd know which way the wind was blowing.
Well, Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for a crisp, clean, classic taste. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires. Well, here is Brad Ausmus, and he drives one to center field, driving Glenn Allen Hill back near the warning track for the second out of this third inning. Castillo continues to pitch well.
One thing that you look for trends with Frank Castillo, he's given up 5 fly balls already out of the 8 outs that he's recorded.
And the other 2 strikeouts.
Right. So on a night like tonight, the wind starts picking up at all, those fly balls will carry just a little bit better.
Castillo throwing up high to Joey Hamilton, who is 0 for 35 this year and has struck out 20 times. This guy was a great pitcher at Georgia Southern.
Saw him in the College World Series in 1990, and you were very impressed by him then. He's very aggressive, got a real bulldog attitude about him.
And he goes after the fastball thrown by Castillo, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Not a bad looking swing. He just doesn't seem to hit anything with it.
Well, it helps to open your eyes.
Yeah, he's bailing just a little bit.
In there, strike 3. Castillo has thrown 3 perfect innings, and Joey Hamilton finds himself down 1-0 to Rick Wilkins and the Cubs.
Bottom of the 3rd inning, 1-0. The Cubs lead the Padres. Here's strike 3 to Joey Hamilton. Watch where this pitch comes in. It's above the belt line. This is the only time that you will see this pitch called a strike in the big leagues. It's a pitcher. He's got 2 strikes. Let's get him out of there and play regular baseball.
And there is Larry Sorensen, and he wants to say, let's go to Baseball Night in America with an update. Here's John Saunders.
I didn't even see his lips move, Steve. Very interesting. San Francisco and Houston here. Will Van Langenham sends this one out to right field. Kevin Bass with the throw. It's up the line. John Patterson scores easily, and San Francisco has a 2-0 lead over the Astros. And right now, the Seattle-Kansas City game, you know that Kansas City had won 14 in a row. Reggie Jefferson here with a double just inside the line. Soho comes in. Fermin comes in. 4-0 is the lead for Seattle over a team that hasn't lost in 2 weeks. Right now, let's take you back to Steve and Larry.
Thank you, John. Where it is 1-0 Chicago. Joey Hamilton now facing Ray Sanchez to start the bottom of the third. Cubs only run came on Rick Wilkins. Solo home run in the first inning with 1 out. Swing and a miss. That one rode inside on Sanchez, and he had no chance to hit it.
You talk about the good movement on a fastball from Joey Hamilton. That last pitch had it.
Again, he rides it inside.
Downward, though. The pitch before went downward so sharply. 2 pitches ago, he threw the fastball inside. Now watch the difference in the action between Castillo and Hamilton. This ball just drops off the table, moving down in the strike zone. Impossible to pitch for a right-hander to hit. Joey Hamilton can make a living right there.
Well, he has so far. One of the top rookie pitchers in the National League, came in with a record of 8-5, 2.68 the earned run average.
Kind of interesting. He leads the Padres in wins and didn't make his debut till May 24th.
And the ground ball to short. Lopez, 1 out. Well, ABC's Wide World of Sports, a special encore presentation, will be on next Saturday. Christy Yamaguchi and Nori Ito compete in the ladies' final of the Durasoft Colors World Challenge of Champions. That is next Saturday at 4 o'clock, 3:30 Central on ABC's Wide World of Sports. You can see the Chicago skyline in the background. Again, the wind's blowing right field towards left field, and Joey Hamilton throwing another strike. His last 3 outs have all been ground ball out. That means the sinker is working. And here's Frank Castillo, 0 for 5 this year. He has 18 hits in the major leagues. There was a guy, Frank Castillo, who really busted onto the scene. We told you about his brilliant first 2 pro years, where he went 11-1 and 6-1 his first 2 seasons. And here's the way they will defend Frank Castillo. Really shallow and swung around towards the right. They don't feel that he can pull the good sinking fastball by Joey Hamilton.
Well, Castillo's still searching for his first extra base hit in the major league, so they obviously don't respect his power either.
I'm going to get into one right here. Nope, that ain't
oh,
get
not
into
that
one
pitch.
swing.
He's not. Only thing that he got into that pitch was his backside into the dugout.
The count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Outside corner at the knee, strike 3. That is the second strikeout for Hamilton in the game, and both have been looking.
Well, again, good movement on the fastball. Knee high, comes back to the middle part of the plate. Castillo had choked up in hopes of just making contact. Took it for strike 3.
So Castillo goes to sit down. And the Cubs will send to the plate Sean Dunston, who grounded out to short his first time up. Got behind the count with Hamilton. And then really had to go after the sinking fastballs and pounded at the ground. Right to Luis Lopez, who threw him out by a step. Right after Dunston made out, Rick Wilkins went deep 400 feet straightaway center field to give the Cubs a lead. And now Dunston sends one deep left field, but this one is way foul.
Pretty tough sneaking a fastball by Sean Dunston. The one thing you want to do is get ahead in the count, try to get him to chase bad breaking balls. He knows he got enough of it to hit it out. Also knows that he got the head of the bat too far in front.
So Joey Hamilton with the 1-1 pitch. And again, Dunston not prepared. Reach for that one. Punches it in the air. Tony Gwynn makes the catch. That will do it for the Cubs. 1-2-3. They still have a 1-0 lead over San Diego. Will return with Baseball Night in America. Padres Cubs after this from our ABC station. Steve Physioc, Larry Sorensen at Baseball Night in America on ABC. 4th inning we go, and to lead things off, Biff Roberts. Frank Castillo has faced 9 batters. He's retired all in order. And now heads back to the top of the order, and Roberts, Gwynn, and Bell. Bibb stays away from that pitch and misses outside, and This is one of the rare 2-0 counts that Castillo has had on anyone. Roberts again, 3 hits in last night's 4-2 win for San Diego. Missing away again, 3-0. Castillo will not walk very many. Matter of fact, when he was pitching well for the Chicago Cubs back in 91-92, he was averaging about 1.5 to 2 walks per 9 innings. Here's the 3-0, and he catches the outside corner. 3-1. Biff now 30 years old, out of Berkeley, California. Three and 2. So Castillo fighting back well.
Now what Castillo did on the 3-0 pitch, he tried to catch more of the plate, just throwing it right down the middle, thinking Biff would take. There he gets a little bit finer, tries to catch a corner. Good pitching.
Roberts chops it, first base. Mark Grace underhands Castillo, who got there in time. No, Roberts is safe. So the first hit of the night is an infield hit, and Roberts is on, representing the tying run.
Looked like Castillo had a hard time getting himself off the mound. Now he eases up a little bit as he looks for the throw, and Biff, with his hustle, gets there just about the same time. Let's take another look. Throw hangs in the air just a little bit as he reaches for it.
You know what? I think that's a great call.
I think it's a great call too. I said safe. As soon as he got there, I said safe. That was my first reaction.
It was extremely close, but Vanover right on top of it. We showed the replay, and it seemed like Roberts got there just with that foot, just barely before Castillo did.
Not much argument from Frank Castillo, which is usually the first indicator.
You've got an excellent crew tonight. Mark Hirschbeck is behind home plate. Larry Vanover at first. Harry Wendelstadt second base. Charlie Relaford at third. And there's a lead for Biff Roberts, who has stolen 21 bases this year. And there's a close play, and they got him. Castillo guns out Biff Roberts, who gets up and a pat on the back to Mark Grace as if to say, hey, man, that was a great tag.
You got me. You just got me. He took a step toward second. There it is. Takes the step toward second base, and then he's out. No chance. Tries to get sneaky. Grace gives him a little push. First man that Castillo has picked off base. There are the extra steps. That's the 8th runner picked off base by the Cubs staff this year.
And Castillo still has faced the minimum. 10 outs in a row, even though Biff Roberts reaching the infield hit, and here comes the toughest out in the lineup, Tony Gwynn. And there's Tony's son,
Anthony.
And Tony with a hard smash with right at Mark Grace for the second out of this 4th inning. Hey, you know, now it's time for tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust baseball fact. Hank Aaron hit 733 home runs with the Braves. That's the all-time record for one team. But which 2 players hit 100+ home runs for each of 3 different teams? I have my guesses. I'm not sure if they're correct, but
See, in previous games that I have done, I went ahead and snuck a peek at the answer so that I would know. And I got a couple guesses.
There's a line smash base hit by Derek Bell to right field, and so that's a big out on the pickoff play of Biff Roberts. Okay, is it okay to give our guesses?
I guess.
I was guessing Dave Kingman might be one, and I was thinking Frank Robinson might be the other. Cleveland with Baltimore with Cincinnati.
Possibly. Let's see who else. Bobby Bonds wasn't with the club long enough to hit 100.
Didn't Barry just tie Bobby's record not too long ago, and he only has 162? There's a ground ball. Bouchel cuts it off, goes to second for the force, and that will do it. 3.5 innings of play. Chicago holding on to a 1-0 lead over San Diego. To start the 4th inning for Chicago, Joey Hamilton served up a fastball that did not have much movement on it, and Wilkins really drove it. And there is a pitch that has a little bit of movement on it, a late break, and Wilkins has to take it for strike 1.
What the Cubs are trying to do is give Wilkins more fastballs to look at by batting him in that number 2 slot. This is only the 2nd start he's made this season in the number 2 hole. Tom Trebelhorn's decision is, let's see if we can't give him better pitches to take a swing at.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, the Giants got Darryl Strawberry, and it seemed like Bonds and Williams started seeing some pretty good pitches, and then all of a sudden the ball started leaving the yard at Candlestick with greater frequency.
Much as happened with the Braves when they got Fred McGriff last year.
Boy, that pitch had some deep break to it. Spearing it was Eddie Williams, but he was in foul territory, so Wilkins will get another chance with a count 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But Eddie Williams waited on that ball. It looked like it was fair for a while, and then it takes a bounce and kicks foul. If he comes in hard, he catches it before it hits foul. There it's fair. At the last second, it went foul. He was a little bit lazy and lackadaisical coming up on that ball. Defense, again, has been a big problem for the Padres this year.
Williams in his defense as Wilkins strikes out. That's the 3rd strikeout, the first swinging for Joey Hamilton in this game. All right, here's Toyota's Diamond Dust answer. Our question: which 2 players hit 100+ home runs for each of 3 different teams? Well, we were way off. Darrell Evans of the Giants. He had 142 for the Giants, 141 for the Tigers, and 131 for the Braves. And Reggie Jackson, look what he did with the A's, Yanks, and Angels.
Oh, we were all over that one.
Oh, baby. We were guessing Dave Kingman and Bobby Bonds.
That's why we're experts.
I'm surprised we didn't guess Derek May or Jerry Lumpy.
I helped out both of those guys, too. I was part of that record. Maybe
God
the fastest home run I ever gave up to Reggie Jackson.
There's a smash to the 3rd baseman. Livingstone up quickly and throws out Mark Grace for the 2nd out of the 4th inning. Mark Grace has such a beautiful swing. It's so difficult to watch him struggle.
Yes.
There's scores from around baseball. The Braves are in front. The Cardinals still leading 1-0 with the Pirates. In the top of the 4th, Langford with a solo home run, only his 5th of the year. And the Expos and Phillies are tied at 1 as the Expos try and again give themselves some distance with the Atlanta Braves. Mets beating the Marlins 1-0, and the bottom of the 3rd they are locked at 2, Yankees and Twins. And here is Sammy Sosa. Boy, he had his knees bending on that breaker from Joey Hamilton.
Joey Hamilton's a 4-pitch pitcher. Fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup. Changeup was probably his 2nd most effective pitch. Curveball will be 3rd, and slider, according to Sonny Siebert, his pitching coach, is the one he gives up most of his home runs on.
Swing and a miss by Sammy Sosa. No balls, 2 strikes. And the guys with the great sinkers, they'll throw it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Swift, who you know so well, with the San Francisco Giants, he'll throw that pitch sometimes 70-85% of the time.
And Joey Hamilton will do the same thing. He'll throw maybe 15 changeups a ball game, throw maybe 15 to 20 curves and sliders, and the rest will be fastball sinkers. And there it is.
Is that a gift? I mean, the natural movement coming out of your hand?
Yeah, and what Joey Hamilton does is he turns it over a little bit. The one thing the Padres have been emphasizing is 1st pitch strikes. They've been trying to get ahead, and Scott Sanders did it so well yesterday when he beat the Cubs. It's all built into the delivery.
Grounder that eats up Lopez, rolls into shallow left field, and Sammy Sosa is on. Well, they're going to give him a hit, and I was hoping so because, man, that was a shot.
Tough play. Actually, a broken bat, it sounded like, as the ball got in on him, but a one-hopper, tough play.
Eddie Williams, I'm glad it wasn't hit to me. Oh, here comes Joey Hamilton trying to keep Sosa close. Sosa has stolen 21 bases this year. You talk about power plus speed. It is Sammy Sosa. He's gone deep 25 times. He's stolen 21 bases. And he is at first base with Derek May at the plate, taking strike 1. Derek May with 7 home runs. He drove in his 50th run last night. The only RBI, and the Cubs 4-2 loss. They have lost their last 4 games. And that pitch misses, 1-1. Cubs last year were 84-78. Finished in 4th place, 13 games behind the Philadelphia Phillies, looking strong entering 1994. But a pitching staff that really looked promising at the beginning of the year with Jose Guzman and Mike Morgan. Guzman injured himself. He's gone for the entire year. And Morgan struggled from the very get-go and now is on the disabled list. And the pitch is low, and they've really gone with guys, and thank goodness for them, guys like Kevin Foster and Jim Bullinger and Steve Traxel, Willie Banks. These are guys who they were thinking maybe 3, 4, 5. They all of a sudden have to move up to 1, 2, 3 in the rotation. And there's a look at the Padres rotation at the end. They go with Joey Hamilton, Andy Bennis, and Andy Ashby, and that's a pretty strong 1, 2, 3.
That's a pretty good place to start. Scott Sanders threw very well again, as I said yesterday.
Sosa was off and going, but the foul ball by Derek May sends him back to first base, and the count is 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Bill Kruger has done a good job for the Padres since coming over. The Cubs today signed pitcher Don Paul, placed him in the bullpen. A lot of last-minute moves going on this week.
Count is 2-2, and Sosa likely to leave with 2 outs here. He'd love to get in scoring position where just a base hit would send him home. He has terrific speed. May can hit the gap. There's Don Paul. He's a local guy. Grew up in the Chicago area. And Hamilton making it awfully close.
Drabowski had him out throwing before the game tonight. Says he's been home throwing to his dad. Mark Parent said, geez, if he's been throwing to his dad and his dad's had no problems, how has he been throwing? Maybe Dad was a good catcher. Paul's got good stuff.
Graduate of South Suburban Evergreen Park High School, 1980. Hamilton wants to throw away. It came back inside and ripped hard to right field, but there's Tony Gwynn. It runs under his glove. Sosa around third. He's coming home, and the ball is dropped by the second baseman Craig Shipley on the relay. So again, defense hurts San Diego, and the Cubs take a 2-0 lead.
I think this ball may have gotten into the lights because it looked like Tony was having trouble with it the whole time. He drifted after it a little bit. Pitch on the outside. Still hit out to right field, and there you see Tony. Now he's not too sure if he's got it. Reaches down for it, just hits off the end of his glove. He just came up a little bit short on it.
And so now Hamilton must battle back. That is an error on Tony Gwynn, just his 3rd of the year. And he has been their best defensive man this year. And now he gives way to Glenn Allen Hill. And Hill waves at the first change off the breaking ball from Joey Hamilton, and it's strike 1.
We showed Jim Riggleman. He said one of the things that has been happening is that they have been giving up too many extra outs. His young pitching staff has had to give up 3, 4, 5 outs per inning instead of just the 3 that you're accustomed to. Makes it tough, especially on a young staff.
There's a ground ball. Lopez. He gets Hill, but not before the Cubs come up with 1 more unearned run. It is Chicago 2 and San Diego nothing. Frank Castillo back at the mound, ready for his 5th inning of work, and facing Scott Livingstone. Livingstone takes low. It is 1 ball and no strikes. Scott tonight struck out swinging his first time up. He's 0 for 1. The average has dropped from 256 at the start of the night to 255. And that is upstairs. 2 balls, no strikes.
Big gap in left center field for Scott Livingstone. They play him to pull.
So it's 3 balls and no strikes. Livingstone acquired earlier this year from the Detroit Tigers. A trade that sent Gene Harris that way, and there's a strike on the outside. 3-1. Padres find themselves down 2-0. The first was a home run into first by Rick Wilkins, but the last was on an unearned run. That has become too much a story with San Diego this year. And that one's popped up. Foul territory. Buechele will not be able to reach this one. Well, love is in the air at the ballpark, and this young gentleman says, Tammy, how about a lifetime contract? Tears are flowing. She's wearing a Cubs uniform. He's wearing a Dodgers. I'm not so sure about this lifetime contract business. Those 2 teams have never gotten along. just misses low and inside, and the tying run will come to the plate. So Castillo has walked his first of the game, only his 5th walk this year, and now 18 innings. Livingstone visiting with Mark Grace, who already has applied a put out to one would-be base stealer and Vic Roberts, when Castillo with a great move threw out. Vic was leaning a little bit too much towards second base. Here's Craig Shipley. What a story he has been this year. And he rifles one into right field for a base hit, so the first 2 Padres are on here in the 5th inning. And the story surrounding Craig Shipley, here's a guy 31 years of age, finally healthy, and finally really feeling comfortable in the major leagues, and he's hitting .360 in his last 25 games to keep that average up over 300. You know, I mean by comfortable, it's a feeling of confidence, I think, with Craig, where he feels he belongs.
Well, and in fact, he has gone out and won the third base job. Jim Riggleman was platooning Livingstone and Shipley at third base, and he said it's nothing that Livingstone did, it's just that Shipley came on and he hit so well I had to keep playing him. He started hitting right-handers, and he said he simply outperformed Livingstone and won the job.
So here comes the rookie Luis Lopez, and he goes after the first offering right to Grace. There's one on to first. They got 2. Is there any first baseman in the game that turns the double play better than Mark Grace?
Reminds you a lot of Keith Hernandez,
yes,
doesn't it? The way Taco used to turn it.
And you remember, it was Mark Grace who wore number 37 in high school because of his favorite first baseman in the major leagues.
Good pitch by Castillo, the 102nd double play of the year for the Cubs. Good throw over the shoulder to the inside part. Nice strong throw by Sean Dunston, who does that as well as anybody.
And I remember talking with Mark Grace about playing first base and how to turn the double play, and also how to get advancing runners on bunts. And he said, I couldn't do it for a while. And I talked to Mattingly, and apparently Mattingly had talked with Keith Hernandez as well. And Keith said, I always made my decision immediately.
Immediately, right.
I would have as the ball was coming to me, I'm going to second base. And then, if I know I can't get it, then it'll make my decision.
Never a hesitation. They made the commitment early and then adjusted from there.
Here's Brad Ausmus now with a man at third base, but 2 outs. Padres had runners in first and second, nobody out, but the double play changed that dramatically. And now Castillo can get one out of the strike zone and maybe get Ausmus to chase it, and he is out of the inning home free. The 0-2. Chopper second base, difficult play, but Sanchez makes it beautifully. Great defense for the Cubs here in the 5th, and Castillo holds on to his 2-0 lead heading to the bottom of the 5th inning. Steve Physioc, Lary Sorensen on ABC's Baseball Night in America. It's Chicago 2 and San Diego nothing. Now let's go to John Saunders for an update.
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. 2-0 San Francisco. Not for long. Jeff Bagwell. Who else? A 3-run home run, 39th of the year, 115 runs batted in. That's 21 more than the next guy on the list, Dante Bichette. 3-2, the Astros have the lead right now in the 4th inning. The Expos and the Phillies. Lenny Webster comes up, and this is a single. Sean Berry comes across to score. Fernando Valenzuela, the pitcher, and right now he is down to the Montreal Expos 2-1 in the 4th inning. Indians and the Red Sox. Chris Nabholz to Carlos Baerga. This, the second of the game for Baerga, 3-run home run, number 19 of the year. Manny Ramirez also with a home run in that 5-run third. 6-0, the Indians looking for a split of the doubleheader. The Yankees and the Twins. Melito Perez to Ken Herbeck. That is a 2-run home run, 293 on his career. The strike could cost him 300. Right now, 6-2, the Twins with the lead in the 4th inning. We'll get you back to Steve and Larry.
Oh, John, you're killing us out here. We're watching all these wonderful stars like Bagwell and Herbeck and Griffey and Bonds. We're going, are we going to play baseball all week? I hope so. Here's Steve Buechele grounding one to Luis Lopez, who throws out Steve for the first out here in the bottom of the 5th. Chicago leading 2-0. Well, tomorrow on ABC, it's America's Funniest Hour. Then Clark's secret may be revealed on Lois and Clark. The New Adventures of Superman. Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter star in Steven Spielberg. Always tomorrow night here on ABC. That was a great movie. Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois. 2-0 Cubs lead. A Wilkins home run, another unearned run, and a Tony Gwynn error. And here with 1 out in the 5th inning, Ray Sanchez, the batter. He grounded out to Scott Livingstone his first time up.
Boy, how about Jeff Bagwell? You look at his numbers, it is just incredible.
Sanchez with the bunt, up quickly, throwing is Livingstone, but pulling Eddie Williams off the bag, and Sanchez is safe.
Sixth bunt base hit single for Sanchez this year. A tough play, but Livingstone comes in. If the throw's on target, he's out easily. I don't see how you can score that a base hit. If the throw is there, he's out. It's a tough play, but he's got some time. That's the kind of thing that the Padres have been giving up extra outs in and making things tougher on their young pitching staff. I think that Livingstone had a little bit more time than he thought that he did.
It's the growing pains you go through getting major league experience. You talk about Livingstone, just a year and a half in the major leagues. Lopez is a rookie at shortstop. Derek Bell is probably a left fielder playing center field. Ausmus in just his second year.
Although Bell has improved in center field.
And really the only experience you have out there is Tony Gwynn in right field, who's played that spot for so many seasons. Castillo tries to get the sacrifice down, but cannot. And the count goes no balls and 1 strike.
And he will not get the bunt down if he continues to have the head of the bat back behind the plate. You have to get the head of the bat out in front. There's Livingstone again. I thought that he had more time on that play.
He is not played every day at third base. We've had Shipley over there. We've had Livingstone at other times. Shipley's been so hot. Sanchez at first base. He represents the Cubs' 3rd run. They currently lead 2-0, getting 1 in the 1st, 1 more in the 4th. And Frank Castillo, who is at the plate right now, is really throwing a solid game. One ball, 1 strike. Well, he fouled it off. Now the decision must be made. You want to have him bunt again with 2 strikes?
Well, with a pitcher, I always think, particularly when you have 1 out or no outs, yes, I go ahead and have him try to bunt again.
See Tom Trebelhorn, now 46 years old, makes his home in Portland, Oregon, and you likely have heard his story about a school teacher there. Continued his baseball experience, really loves the game. The 1-2 to Castillo. This time he gets it down, but Hamilton going to second. They got the force there on to first, but they will not get the double play. Joey came off so slowly, grabbed the ball, looked. I wasn't quite sure if he was going to go to second base.
Didn't look like he was going to make the attempt at second base, but very obviously Brad Ausmus told him that's the play to make. He gets there in plenty of time. You're just trying to put the ball anywhere in play. Throws across his body. Pretty good action on that ball to second base.
Yeah. Lopez had to go down and grab the sinking fastball to second base. But now 2 outs. Castillo at first base. And we head back to the top of the order, and Sean Dunston was 0 for 2, grounded to short his first time up, and fly to right field in the 3rd. Eddie Williams will play behind the runner Castillo, not far behind, and then drop back when the pitch is thrown. And Dunston drives it to right field, and Gwynn has it measured, is there, makes the catch to record the final out of the 5th inning. We go to number 6 in Chicago. The Cubs on top of the Padres, 2-0. There is one of baseball's great characters, Harry Carey, 50 years broadcasting baseball in the Baseball Hall of Fame. A wonderful gentleman. It was great to see him happy, healthy, and broadcasting Cubs baseball again.
Kind of interesting talking to some of the Cubs marketing people. They said it's great having him in the booth because nobody leaves and we sell concessions until the 7th inning, no matter what the score is.
Because in just 1 inning, Harry will be up, leading the entire group here at Wrigley Field in their edition. Holy cow, it's Pat's bachelor party. No, that's not what they'll be singing. They'll be singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and everybody be looking up and waving to Harry. Joey Hamilton will lead off the 6th inning for San Diego, and he goes after the first offering and fouls it off for a strike. Castillo has been sharp. He's allowed 3 hits, but all 3 hits in the last 2 innings. He retired the first 9 that he faced. Look at that. Outside corner, no balls, 2 strikes. Show those numbers on Joey Hamilton. He's now 0 for 36 to start a career, including 21 strikeouts, almost 22.
Well, in his defense, he came out of the college system, probably had the DH there, DH in the minor league, so it was probably a few years since he swung the bat. I played in the American League. I went 8 years without swinging the bat. And the first time you get in there against major league pitching, it's no fun.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Joey Hamilton for the 22nd time this year.
22 out of 37 is not a very good percentage.
Man, when he gets that knock, he's going to grab that baseball and it's going to go in a big glass case in his house.
I'll tell you what is a good percentage. Frank Castillo has thrown 12 of 18 first pitch strikes.
That is the key, as Biff Roberts sends one to left field, but backing up Derek May and 2 gone. And we get to have another look at Tony Gwynn again. Tony started the night at 390. He has slipped down to 389 with his 0 for 2 start in this ball game. Guy, one of the great hitters. I mean, he's got a photographic mind. I know he videotapes all of his hitting, but yeah, I asked him earlier last week. I said, "Remember your first major league at bat?" And he goes, "July 19th, 1982, 2:05. Mike Krukow was on the mound for Philadelphia. I fly it out to left center field on a 2-0 pitch, but he did have a double and a single later in the game." I mean, he'd rattle it off immediately. Square the bunt and sit on the outside corner, 1-1.
The other thing is, if you want to study hitting, he's a great guy to talk to because you learn something every single conversation that you have with Tony Gwynn.
Here's the 1-1. And Tony took it inside. He checked his swing, did not go around, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. And Castillo really working Tony, I think, pretty well.
Yeah.
Inside, outside.
If you get yourself into any kind of a pattern against Tony Gwynn, you're beat because he reads pitchers so well. That pitch inside, he was obviously thinking away.
Here's the 2-1. Gwynn reaches and punches it right at Grace, so they get Tony for the 3rd time in this game, and Castillo continues his mastery on the San Diego Padres. 2-0 Chicago as we are through 5.5 at Wrigley Field. 6th inning we go at Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois, where the home team Cubs have a 2-0 lead on the San Diego Padres, and Joey Hamilton will work with the man who has given him the most difficulty in this game, Rick Wilkins. Wilkins waves at that offering. He struck out his last time, but in the 1st inning, Wilkins came up and Hamilton missed with the fastball.
One of the few mistakes that Hamilton has made. Threw that one right down the middle, and he knew it. About 400 feet straight away center field.
Wilkins skies this one in the air into right between Biff Roberts and the shortstop Luis Lopez in no man's land, and down went Roberts. Not sure if he twisted a knee, but Wilkins is on for his 2nd hit of the night.
He got hit by Luis Lopez as they crossed paths. We'll see what the problem is on the replay. This is just a high fly ball. Biff got a bad jump on it because the ball hung in the air a while. Lopez came out, and as they crossed paths, Lopez hit Roberts a little bit, I think, on the hand. Let's take a look.
You know, I don't see Biff ever
There's
saying.
Lopez.
Yeah, he got right on the inside of the knee. Looks like the kneecap right on the inside of the knee.
Well, now watch, because the play is dead. I thought that for a moment Wilkins was going to try to go to second. Little dance that they did.
No,
and it is the hand.
It's the hand. I saw him pop the inside of the knee, and you might remember earlier this year, he really damaged his right thumb. And right after He did it, and it really swelled up.
And I think that what happened was that as they bumped into each other, the hand got jammed in back.
And you know what happens. I mean, you've done that playing basketball, whatever.
Sure.
You're going through the middle, and somebody throws the basketball, it glances off somebody else, and pops and jams it, and it'll take weeks.
Now they're doing the waltz with each other. There's the hand that gets jammed. If you've had trouble with it already, it takes it a little bit longer. Outfielders have a tendency to play deep in Wrigley Field. It took Biff a while to get to that ball.
Well, here is Mark Grace, 0 for 2, so he is due. He takes it low and inside, ball 1. Grace fly to left field in the first inning, grounded to third base, but hit it hard in the fourth. He was really scalding the baseball. Mark was hitting better than .368 for a 3-week stretch, and then got tonsillitis earlier this week, and since that time he has really had difficulty 2 for his last 19.
There's a bug going around Wrigley evidently, because Tony Gwynn was saying he didn't feel too good either.
Grace down the line. Eddie Williams off the heel of his glove. Throws to Joey Hamilton. Everybody's safe, and defense is costing the Padres again. An error on Eddie Williams. So runners on first and second. Nobody out. Riggleman worried again.
Jim Riggleman said defense has cost his ball club all year long. This is the 5th error of the year for Eddie Williams. And one of the things Riggleman has said is it's great for these guys to put up offensive numbers, but if they can't catch the ball, they're not going to be able to stay in our lineup. We've realized that our ball club can hit. We've realized we've got a pretty good pitching staff coming along. The thing that we have not done well this year is play defense, and that's an area we'll address.
Well, Pittsburgh and the Pirates and Jim Leyland have had guys like Barry Bonds and Bobby McNeil lead that ball club because of salary. But one thing they've continued to do, throw strikes and catch the baseball. And that's why the Pirates keep on winning. The Padres a very young club, and again the growing pains they are experiencing this year, and it has been on the defensive side, and that is why they start tonight 44 and 68, 12.5 games behind first place Los Angeles in the National League West.
And they are last in the league in defense. Riggleman said, seems like once a game we find a way to get ourselves into big trouble with our gloves.
They've done it again. And now it's a pitch for Sammy Sosa, and he pops it into the 4th row here at Wrigley Field.
And again, with a young pitching staff, and Joey Hamilton is a young pitcher, it just makes him throw so many more outs in one inning. Veteran pitchers, a guy like a Greg Maddux, a Tom Glavine, people like that that have been around, find ways to get those double plays. A young pitching staff, it takes a while longer, as we go around and show you the entire infield.
Hamilton with the 0-2. Ground ball, foul. Tried to get that one with his hand to Sammy Sosa. Maybe dropped down underneath his bat. Didn't move as sharply as some earlier pitches that we saw from Joey Hamilton. There's Wick Wilkins. He started the inning by dropping a base hit to shallow left field. And Mark Grace reached on the error by Eddie Williams. So runners at first and second, 2 out. Nobody out, excuse me, here in the 6th inning. Went away. Ball, 2 strikes. Sammy Sosa. He reached on the infield hit back in the 4th inning. Came around to score the team's 2nd run on the error by Tony Gwynn. And they are pulled around in deep left for Sammy Sosa.
And Tony Gwynn very deep in right.
Sosa has very good opposite field power. I mean, he's just a really strong, beautiful hitter. And here's a guy who's only 25 years old. Look at Tony. He is about, I don't know, 15 feet off the warning track.
Not much room behind him. Big gap in right center.
Hamilton with the 1-2 pitch. Base hit left field. With the turn, Rick Wilkins. Here comes the throw from Viv Roberts. It is cut off, and the Cubs take a 3-0 lead.
another example of the way the defense can jump up and bite you. And another thing that happens with the young defensive club is you don't always position yourself very well. You need more help from the bench, but you can't tell everybody where to play all the time.
So Chicago has gone in front 3-0, and poor Joey Hamilton's getting no defensive help. You might remember the last time he faced the Chicago Cubs earlier this year. He goes 7 innings, does not allow an earned run, and loses the game. He loses at 5-0. He leaves the contest down 1-0. And like 3 more unearned runs come across. Bryce Flory was throwing down in the San Diego bullpen. But it's not because Hamilton's labored. That pitch catches the outside corner right at the knees. 0-2. He was in front of Sosa, and Sosa, I just thought, had a pretty good at-bat. Got the base hit to left field.
Look at it from the pitcher's perspective. You give a lazy little pop-up that settles in between your shortstop and left fielder. Throw a ground ball to your first baseman that gets kicked. All of a sudden you're in trouble with a couple of guys on, a run already in, and nobody out. Could very easily have 2 men out, a runner on first base. And who knows how the situation changes if you're pitching to Sosa with 2 outs and nobody on.
Jim Riggleman might be thinking, hey, we should be down only by 1 run instead of 3. Checks his swing. The pitch wanders outside. And the count goes 1 ball and 2 strikes to Derek May, who is 0 for 2 in this game. There are your runners. Nobody out here in the 6th inning, and Joey Hamilton steps off. He wanted to look Mark Grace back to second base.
The next thing that happens to a young pitcher is he starts worrying about other things other than getting the hitter out, and so he doesn't make the quality pitches that he should be. Starts worrying about the runners on base, starts losing his composure a little bit. We saw him take a walk to the back of the mound before about 2 pitches ago, shaking his head a little bit. So his concentration starts to wander. That's when you make a mistake. He's thrown 81 pitches now. But that's when you make a mistake. You're not quite as sharp as you were in the early innings anyway, because you've thrown 81 pitches and somebody hits a big fly on you.
I mean, it looked like Derek May had one to handle right there. But those are 3 straight fastballs that he's tried to go away with and has not had much
gotten the ball away.
with.
Not gotten the ball away.
And I'm not sure if he's going for a strikeout here rather than just an out. I mean, if he gets a good hard sinker, he's got 2 outs.
And you're looking, exactly right, looking for the double play ball.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. 6th inning with the Cubs in front 3-0.
Good spot for the change if you've got confidence in it.
Yeah, May reached for it. And on comes Livingstone. It goes past Williams. And the Padres defense continues to fall apart as Gray scores, and right behind him, Sammy Sosa.
Sabotage by the Padres defense right now, and Eddie Williams has hurt his hand. Livingstone has trouble with the ball. It bounces around in his hand and he doesn't get a real good grip on it. He throws it with a 3-finger grip and it gets away from Williams at first base, and I don't know if his hand got stepped on or what exactly happened. Joey Hamilton has had a tough inning from a pitcher's standpoint. He has done his job.
I mean, it was a weak ground ball by Derek May. Sammy Sosa punched one through the hole and left between the third baseman and shortstop. Rick Wilkins just dumped one in the outfield and left. And the shot by Mark Gray should have been handled by Eddie Williams.
And I don't see how you score that ball a base hit either, because if the throw is made to first base, he's out. A base hit, E5, no RBI. No, I disagree with that.
I think Derek May's father, Dave May, who played in the Major League, is doing the scorekeeping tonight here at Wrigley Field.
No, I played with Davey May. He was more honest than that. He would never have done that. He would never have done it.
Well, you know what dads are like.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm one of them.
I didn't
hit all the way.
Yeah. Well, I put it down E5 on my score.
So did I. I just got my eraser out. I thought it was kind of an easy decision.
Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be that tough a play. What made it tough was that the ball bounced around in Livingstone's hand.
This might be the first time where broadcasters call the press box to talk to the scorekeeper. Another weak ground ball, this time eaten up by Shipley, and he will throw out Glenn Allen Hill. Well, Baseball Night in America is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. By Wendy's, after 25 years, quality is still our recipe. And by Hanes Underwear, Activewear, and Socks. Just wait till we get our Hanes on you. Steve Physioc, Lary Sorensen back at Chicago's Wrigley Field, where the Cubs are in front 5-0 on the San Diego Padres. Padres won game 1 of this series last night, 4-2 on Scott Sanders' one-hitter. And there's a ground ball. It is past Lopez into center field. Coming home to score is Derek May, and it's 6-0 Chicago. And they still haven't hit the ball hard.
Hardest hit ball of the inning was the ball that Mark Grace hit. Very frustrating night for Joey Hamilton. Did his job, threw some ground balls. Won't show up as a very good inning for him in the line score, but Jim Riggleman knows what happened this inning.
Well, Jim says good job, Joey. We'll get him next time. Pitch like that and you'll have a W. It is 6-0 though, Chicago, when we come back. Cubs with a 6-0 lead. They have out-hit the Padres 7-3, but look at the 3 errors by San Diego. That has really cost the Padres. Here's Bryce Flory throwing extremely well, 1.17 the earned run average, and here he is, only 24 years old, from Charleston, South Carolina, former South Carolina High School Player of the Year.
So the 7 walks in 7 innings. He's got average stuff, but he's got 3 major league average pitches, which can make him a successful pitcher. He has to get a little bit better command of them.
He tried to get that one on the outside corner, and he had a good location on it, right in the outside corner at the knees. And it's 1 strike to Steve Buechele. I'm sorry, Ray Sanchez. Sanchez got that bunt single his last time up. Fly ball right field. Tony Gwynn, 2 outs. ABC Sports will be in upstate New York as Jim Kelly leads his 4-time defending AFC champion Buffalo Bills against the rebuilding Washington Redskins in a primetime preseason special. Live coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. That is Monday night here on ABC. It was good to see back on Monday Night Football, Hank Williams Jr.
Yeah.
Are you ready for some football? Yes, I are. Ground ball, second base. Shipley up with it. And he throws out the pitcher Castillo. That will do it for the Cubs, but they come up with 4 in the 6th to take a 6-0 lead on San Diego.
All right, Stephen, we'll keep an eye on your game. The bases were full for Jeff Conine as the Mets were looking to get to the 500 mark this season, but Conine finds the gap. Barbary, Carr, and Sheffield come in, and it's 4-1. Florida takes the lead after the Mets had led this one 1-0. That game in the 5th inning. Braves and the Reds. Braves chasing the Expos. Also the wild card berth at stake. Pendleton with this single here. Fred McGriff comes around from second to score ahead of the throw. 2-0. Atlanta has taken the lead over the Reds. That game now in the 6th inning. The Expos, meantime, Fernando facing Sean Berry. And this one is crushed out to center field. Landy Dykstra goes back, thinks he has a shot, backs up for the double, but forget it. It's gone for the home run. Solo shot. 3-1 was the lead. That's where it stands now in the 6th. Back to Steve and Larry.
Thank you, John. And how about those Expos?
Boy,
at the beginning of the year, everybody, including myself, picked the Atlanta Braves. Then they get off to this unbelievable start. We're thinking the Braves are going to run away and win this thing by 20, 25 games.
Boy, Expos can beat you so many different ways.
They really can. Now they're getting the great pitching to go with the offense that is already the best in the National League. And that is chopped foul back behind home plate. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Derek Bell, who's leading off this 7th inning. Derek 1 for 2 in the But there's your story for the evening. Frank Castillo. San Diego's defense has been really, really shabby, and Castillo's pitching has been brilliant. His numbers are terrific, and he throws to Derek Bell, and it is fouled off again. How about this? He has thrown right now 66 pitches. He has only thrown 18 out of the strike zone. He's had only been behind 3 hitters in the game. That's 2-0 count, 3-1 count. He's never been behind 3-0. I'm sorry, he was behind 3-0, and then he clawed back to make it 3-1. But he really has been solid. And hey, they're in from Mars. A swing and a miss, and a great changeup thrown by Castillo, and Derek Bell strikes out. That is 5 strikeouts now for Frank Castillo in this game.
And what a difference it makes when you do get ahead of hitters. Set him up for the off-speed stuff. Derek Bell way out in front. He knows that there's just no way to stay back on it. Good fastball hitter. You get him with a changeup.
And that takes us to Eddie Williams, who is 0 for 2 in this game. Eddie hit a home run last night, his 10th of the year. He's now 29 years old. He came back home, grew up in San Diego, went to Hoover High School, bounced around the major leagues before finally coming home to San Diego, finding success. There's a breaking ball that misses inside, and the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1991, Eddie was in Japan. 92-93, played in Mexico. Got his chance when a scout for the Padres saw him in a beer league in Southern California. And now he's hitting home runs in the major leagues. And here he drives one to Sammy Sosa for the 2nd out. Frank Castillo has been a big part of our game summary. He has gone now 6 2/3 innings. And he has been throwing strike one to just about everybody. Rick Wilkins hit a 7th home run in the 1st inning. Castillo mowed down the first 9 that he faced. And this is a real confidence builder for Frank Castillo, who has struggled his last 2 seasons.
Castillo has walked only 1 hitter tonight, and when people start talking about the length of a ball game, I think you can point to that fact as something that keeps everything moving along. In my opinion, everybody's nibbling too much. Too many 2-0, 3-1, 3-2 counts. Throw fastballs, throw curveballs, but throw a strike on that first pitch. Get ahead of the hitter, makes the entire ball game move along much quicker.
And that was one area of his game where he really faltered at last year. He would not get in front of anybody out in the outside corner, and the count goes 1 ball, 2 strikes to Scott Livingstone. So Castillo continues his mastery. He does not throw that hard. I mean, he'll get up there 85, 86 miles an hour, but he spots it so well. Swing and a miss. Down goes Livingstone, and Castillo has struck out 6. Wow, through 7, Castillo is shutting out the Padres. Over for Bip Roberts in left field. You might remember when Bip jammed his thumb 2 innings ago. He stuck around, but now has left the lineup. And the trainers were looking at Bip Roberts to make sure he was okay. Phil Clark, meantime, watches from the Padre dugout. And we head back to the top of the order for the Chicago Cubs and Sean Dunston, Rick Wilkins, and Mark Grace. Bryce Flores taking over for Joey Hamilton, who pitched well, but his defense did not help him out. And now Pedro Martinez warms up in the San Diego bullpen. They have a solid bullpen. They really have a fine future with the rotation. I mean, you take a look at Joey Hamilton, Robbie Beckett, Andy Ashby, Andres Berriman, Donnie Elliott, and Tim Worrell. And you're looking at some quality starters in the San Diego future. They perhaps could use Neon Man as a left-handed setup guy. But you know what? I think the umpires would say you're going to have to turn off the lights when you bring it home, pal.
There has got to be more to life. Somehow, some way, somewhere.
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking about it for a while there. I think I'm going to get one of those suits. I'll wear it on our next ABC telecast.
Love to see that. Talk about the injuries that the Padres have had in their starting rotation. So they've brought some people along and given them a chance they might not have gotten to pitch at the major league level this year, and it's worked out. They've seen some improvement from some different people.
There's a couple of guys you saw, Andy Ashby and Wally Whitehurst. Whitehurst injured, will not come back the rest of this year. Who is this Neon Man guy? Neon Man saves baseballs, raises ticket prices. Perhaps it's about the strike. There's a ground ball in the hole. Backhanded. Lopez had to struggle with the baseball, but still has time to throw out the speedy Dunston. Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without express written consent from the Office of the Commissioner. And I hope we are saying that a week from tonight.
You and me both.
Because on the 12th, this Friday, is when the players are saying we are going to strike if we do not. Oh, good look.
Oh, my. They're all out
Man
tonight.
and now Elvis.
They are all out tonight.
Where are they finding them? A looper to center field. That is a base hit. So Rick Wilkins has 3 hits in the night, and after a difficult year, a hard-pressing, very intense athlete has 3 hits, and we finally get to see a smile from Rick. He's a guy who really is hard on himself.
Very
you
much
like that about an athlete. I was talking to Ron Santo with the Chicago Cubs, and he says, that's what I love about Rick. He said he takes it home with him.
Yeah.
And he agonizes, and you know those kind of guys are going to get better.
Because they work so hard at improving.
Here is Mark Grace.
Did Elvis come with you?
Neon Man did.
Oh, okay.
I got to go recharge my batteries after this game. 2 balls, no strikes. And on first base, Rick Wilkins 1 out, and Grace now takes 3 in it. Grace in his option year, where he would love to come back with the Cubs. This is his free agent year. Outside corner of the knees, 3-1. And this is the year you want to have the great success. You want the Cubs to win, and I'm sure the Cubs would love to have him back, but he would like to go in the free agent market just to see what he is worth. And I was surprised last year that they didn't maybe
try to lock him up.
Renegotiate, lock them up. They had a chance to do that with Greg Maddux, who I thought was the biggest mistake that Chicago made. When you look at franchises, you're starting an organization, say, what do you want to start with? You want a great pitcher that can give you 250 innings and be a horse.
A #1 guy that you can count on every 5th day.
Grace reaches out for that one. Lopez has it easily, and Mark is gone by a bundle. 2 gone. Meantime, running on the play was Wilkins. He's at second base.
And there are not a handful of people out there like that. The Cubs had one and let him get away in Greg Maddux. Look on the flip side of the San Diego Padres, and a guy like Andy Bennis is the same type of person. I talked with him before the game, and he said, at this point, I have to go out and look and see what's going to be out there when I'm a free agent, because I want to go someplace where I can win. He said the money's going to be there. The Padres will give me the money, same kind of money other teams are going to give me. But I'm tired of playing here where we're not winning, and I don't know when we will. I've got to take the opportunity when I can to get out there and find a winner.
Swing and a miss by Sammy Sosa. That may change soon, because the new ownership group, we understand, is looking at the books from Florida. Tom Werner is thinking of selling, but we also have received information that Tom Werner would like to keep his hand in the organization, wants to keep it in San Diego, would like to be part of the winner. Here's the 0-1, and that ball's low, and it gets away from Ausmus. Play at third, and he is safe. Wilkins showing quick feet and good base running.
And a nice sliding to the outside half of the plate as Scott Livingstone came up to block it. The ball came up a little bit on Ausmus. Didn't bounce too far away. So you know that it's all instinct on Wilkins' part. As Livingstone came in front of the base, watch the slide to the outside corner by Rick Wilkins. See how far Livingstone is in front. There he is, right on the outside part.
Now the pitch to Sosa, and he swings and misses. Count is 1-2. 2 outs. We're in the 7th inning. The Cubs already with a 6-0 lead. They scored 1 in the 1st in the Wilkins home run, 1 more in the 4th, and 4 in the 6th inning. Sosa has an RBI, his 67th of the year.
Look at the gap in right center, and you saw Sosa trying to take the ball out that way on that last pitch.
Wow, I'll tell you what, Flory's been a little bit wild.
There's another shot of it. Very big gap as they pull Sosa to pull. If you pitch him away, you've got to play him accordingly. You can't try to pitch somebody away and play him to pull.
Again, the 2-2 pitch. He chased one out of the strike zone, and Bryce Flory gets a strikeout. And the Cubs leave a man at third base to end the 7th. We go to number 8, 6-0 Chicago. 0-3-3 for the Padres. 6-8 nothing for the Chicago Cubs. They're playing well tonight. Frank Castillo is a huge reason why, and he comes back for his 8th inning of work, and he will face Craig Shipley to start things here in number 8.
That second 3 gets to be a very big number, doesn't it? That 3 errors. 6 runs for Joey Hamilton, 4 earned. But he really pitched better than that.
No question. And the one thing about baseball, if you're going to be humbled by a Frank Castillo, that's fine. But don't beat yourself. And that's what Jim Riggleman is so concerned about with his ball club. New shortstop Jose Hernandez comes on for Sean Dunston. And the pop up on the infield. Buechele has it for the first out of the 8th inning. Let's take a look at our MCI proof positive replay. Frank Castillo had retired 9 straight hitters. Here's number 10, Biff Roberts, to start the 4th inning.
Ground ball chopper over to Mark Grace at first base. He comes up with a little bit of a toss to Castillo. Very close play at first base. Watch it from this angle. Larry Vanover makes the call. A little bit of hang time on the throw, throws the timing off, and Biff is able to get in just before Frank Castillo.
And proof positive that Larry Vanover made the right call. First base hit of the night off Frank Castillo. Working on a shutout, and there's one of the best defensive first basemen in the game in Mark Grace. Castillo works away, 1 ball, 1 strike. That is one thing Castillo has done so well tonight, and that he did not do last year. I mean, he has really changed his pattern every single at bat to every single hitter.
There's a good changeup to Luis Lopez. The other thing that he's doing, he's pitching very aggressively, pitching ahead in the count, throwing different pitches on the first strike, on the first pitch, making sure that he does get ahead, keeping the pace of the game going, has not fallen asleep at all, kept everything moving along very quickly.
And again, he gets him to chase one. That's a changeup. It's popped up into shallow center field, and Hernandez has it. Hey, Castillo has really been terrific tonight. 6 strikeouts. He's gotten a lot of fly ball outs. That means they're swinging at that changeup, and those are his 2 best pitches. A fastball that only goes 85. He spots it well. He'll cut it a little bit. He's got a nice little curve, but it's the changeup that has them really off balance. Mo Grabowski, pitching coach, long time he has been a minor league instructor. He's got a philosophy I think you'll enjoy hearing. You know, we're going to have to sear it in the 9th inning. Here is a fly ball to right field. And moving on, Sammy Sosa takes care of Brad Ausmus. That does it for the Pods. 6-0 Chicago. The Chicago Cubs with a 6-0 lead on the San Diego Padres. 38,562 here tonight at Wrigley Field, watching the Cubs and Padres in Game 2. And you can't even count them. That's across the street.
So really, they're probably over 40,000 tonight.
That's a Secretarial Club from downtown Chicago. Saying hello to Harry Carey. And there's the new pitcher, Pedro Martinez. Southpaw from the Dominican Republic, 3-2 in the year, 2.43 earned run average. They've had a solid bullpen this year, and Pedro has been their setup man for their closer, Trevor Hoffman, who saved the game last night for winning pitcher Scott Sanders.
Talk to Riggleman and Sonny Siebert, the pitching coach, and ask about the bullpen, and Pedro Martinez is one of the first names they come up with. They say he's done a great job. Oh, it's Neon Boy. Passing the tradition
Where's
along.
Cheetah? We have Boy, Jane, and Cheetah. Here we go.
I'll tell you. What do you want to be when you grow up, son? I want to be Neon Man, just like Dad.
And if he played in Cincinnati, it would be Neon Dion. Here's Dad. My goodness.
Anyway,
Derek May, the batter, he has the count his way. 2 balls, no strike. Reach on that infield hit. What really did not think was an infield hit, but the scorekeeper said was. That's one hit down the first baseman, and A. Williams struggles with it again, but makes the play. And there's one gone. In Andy Williams' defense, he has not played much first base. He's played a little third base. He's played in the outfield.
but defensively, DH is probably his best position.
Gosh, I hope not. You know, you go home and work on that. Here's a guy who was found in a beer league this past offseason, now in the major leagues. So he has grown quite a bit, and he has really been terrific this year. On the offensive end, 10 home runs, hitting better than .330.
The area that the Padres have had trouble with is getting runners across. Their team batting average is good, and they have plenty of people on base. They just haven't been able to get people across the plate.
Now Glenn Allen Hill, and he takes it away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
5th in the league in batting average at .273. Of course, Tony Gwynn throws the whole scheme out of whack, but they just haven't been able to score the runs.
Martinez catches the outside corner. 1-2, the count his way. Glenn Allen Hill in this game 0 for 3. He's grounded out all 3 times. There's Brad Ausmus working with him behind home plate. Ausmus, the bright young catching prospect. Back east way. It gets away from Brad. Brad is from New Haven, Connecticut. Played his college baseball at Dartmouth. Rockies property, and picked up in the Greg Harris, Bruce Hurst trade. Quite a find for Colorado after they lost Benito Santiago. And that one misses away. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Drafted out of the Yankees organization, right? Wasn't he the player that that the Yankees didn't want to lose?
Hey, Yankees 3rd round draft choice. In-flight entertainment. This trade table is up. They're landing. And that one is lifted in the air. Shallow right field. This one will drop and roll to the wall. Around first base is Glenn Allen Hill. He's on the races off for 3rd. There will be no throw. The first triple of the year for Glenn Allen Hill.
You had the feeling it was only going to be a matter of time before the big gap that the Padres have left in right center field all night jumped up to hurt him a little bit. That's the situation.
Particularly with a left-hander working away to Glenn Allen Hill, and all of a sudden he is going to go out there and go after that pitch away off the plate. So Hill, 9th career triple. He's at 3rd base, just 1 out here in the 8th inning. And Steve Buechele, the batter, and again Martinez tries to go away. And it is strike 1. This is where a lot of left-handers they'll learn that cut fastball so they can come inside to a right-hander.
Because they don't want to give too many pitches in one zone. Left-handers naturally have more movement on the ball than a right-hander does just by nature of the way they throw the ball. Martinez's best pitch is his screwball probably. So you need the little cutter to ride the ball in on the right-handers.
Buechele to right field, base hit. In comes Glenn Allen Hill, and the Cubs are in front 7-0. Cubs dominating baseball night in America, and there's one of the fine skippers, Jim Riggleman. I really think he has done a terrific job. You talk about the negativity that has surrounded the San Diego organization. Will they be sold? They had 2 marvelous stars in Gary Sheffield and Fred McGriff. They were sent away, but Riggleman, I think, has really pointed out to all of the young players, improve in your area, and it will come together as a team. But don't get down, don't be sucked down
by what has happened this year. And they know, they have pinpointed some of the shortcomings that they have, but they are saying to their young players, we have the nucleus. We like a lot of the things you do. We just know there are some areas you need to address.
I mean, they've got a future in San Diego. We told you about the pitchers. Hamilton and Beckett is still down in the minor leagues, who they like. Andres Berriman and Donnie Ellett, who will be coming off the disabled list. Tim Worrell has been on all year. But how about Mel Nieves, who they got from the Atlanta Braves, who they think can be a star outfielder in this league? Derek Lee, a first baseman, former first-round draft choice. Vince Moore, Ray McDavid, Ricky Gutierrez, who's not playing tonight, but is with the big club. In the air, center field. Derek Bell makes the catch. 2 outs. Well, tomorrow here on ABC Sports, more international competition from the Goodwill Games. Coverage of mixed team gymnastics, ice dancing, and the women's gold medal basketball game begins at 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central. That's tomorrow on ABC. Here in Chicago, the Cubs with a 7-0 lead on the San Diego Padres. And the batter is the pitcher. He gets a warm ovation, Frank Castillo.
Very nice ovation, very well deserved.
They know their baseball. This is a really wise audience. And you know what? The greatest rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game with Harry Carey leading the way. I mean, everybody is up singing.
38,500 plus, and every face turned up here. Good time to go looking for wallets in the stands. And Harry's singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Well, you've had some kind of background. I got to go check your records, pal. What was it, 3 and 7 in that Cy Young year you had? How many votes did you get that year?
I was like second, third, something like that.
Ooh, good pitch by Martinez, and he strikes out Castillo. We'll come back with Cy Sorensen. 7-0. The Cubs lead the Padres at the end of 8. Chevrolet, most valuable player of the game, Frank Castillo of the Chicago Cubs. In conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute a total of $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the names of all players of the game for the 1994 Major League Baseball season. Castillo has been excellent. He came up just a couple of weeks ago after pitching very well in AAA, going 4-2 with a 3.27 earned run average after starting the year in the disabled list with a strained right fourth finger, and was disabled until May 12th. And since that time, Castillo has come back and pitched extremely well. And here he goes tonight, 9th inning of work, looking for. We've got to check to see if this will be his first major league shutout. I know he had a great game, a 3-hitter and a 2-1 triumph for the San Francisco or the Los Angeles Dodgers in 1991. Here's Castillo.
If he does go the distance, it will be his 7th complete game of his career. Pretty good chance he'll get a game ball out of this one.
Keep this one. And I'd also keep the videotape, simply because I want to see how I pitched when I pitched well. He had him guessing. He had him off stride. Here is Brian Johnson, the pinch hitter, former quarterback at Stanford.
10 fly ball outs for Frank Castillo, which is a good indication that he had people off balance and popping the ball up.
Tried to check his swing, but he went around. The strike pitch may have already been in the strike zone. A baseball night in America has been brought to you by Oldsmobile and your local Oldsmobile retailers. By Michelin, so much is riding on your tires. And Budweiser, Beechwood aged for a crisp, clean, classic taste. One out in the 9th inning after the strikeout of Brian Johnson. That is 7 strikeouts in the game for Castillo. His high came against San Francisco back in 1992 when he struck out 10 Giants. Here's Billy Beane, who came on as a defense replacement for Biff Roberts early in this game, and Beane skies the ball to left field. Derek May, 2 outs. Well, the executive producer of ABC Sports is Jack O'Hara. And our coordinating producer of the Baseball Network, John Filippelli. Coordinating producer of ABC Sports is Kurt Gowdy Jr. Tonight's game produced by Susie Evans. Directed by Drew Essenthal. Technical director Joe Vinci. Our associate director is Debbie, and associate producer is Joe. I wanted to be a little more personal with Joe and Deb.
Let's get close.
Frank Castillo now works with Tony Gwynn, and he shoots one into left field for a base hit. So Gwynn continues his hot hitting, but 1 for 4 in the night. We at ABC Sports would like to pass on our condolences to the family of a longtime friend, producer Amy Sachs. She was a terrific friend, and we certainly will miss her. Derek Bell with a base hit to right field. So with 2 outs, the Padres really might be making life terrible for Frank Castillo. He is 1 out away from his first major league shutout, but Gwynn goes the opposite field. So does Derek Bell, and now that has sent Mo Drabowski to the bullpen phone, and he will come running out to talk to Frank Castillo. What might this conversation be about, Larry?
Get yourself the last out, something profound like that. Nothing real serious. You're all right. Keep the ball down. Keep the ball in the ballpark is their biggest concern at this point in time. Don't try to overthrow, because when you overthrow, the ball flattens out. You're trying to get that last out, so you're trying to hump up a little bit extra. Dan Physioc up throwing in the bullpen.
So the Padres with 2 on here in the 9th inning with 2 out. And Castillo now will work with Eddie Williams. And you know, Drabowski would love to give the right-hander a shutout. And Williams could really trouble that with a big swing of the bat. He hit his 10th home run last night here at Wrigley Field, and a tremendous blast it was. His 10th home run of the season. 1 ball, no strikes. Castillo has not been behind many. And Williams with a base hit to right field. With the turn, Tony Gwynn. They will send him home after juggling with the baseball Sammy Sosa, and the shutout is gone. That just kills you, because what you'll do is you'll replay that in your mind. You got 2 outs.
It takes a little bit of the luster off what you've accomplished all night long.
Now Castillo wants the complete game, and Mark Grace comes over. Hey, so let's wrap it up right here. 7-1 our score. The Cubs lead the Padres. 10 hits for Chicago. And now it is Scott Livingstone's time. And Castillo has really dominated Livingstone in this game. Even though he walked back in the 5th inning, Livingstone struck out swinging twice, and he was fooled badly on each occasion. He fouls this one off at strike 1.
And was fooled on that pitch as well. He didn't have a good swing at it.
Derek Bell, 3rd base. Eddie Williams, 1st base. 2 outs. We're in the 9th. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Scott Livingstone. 9 away, 1-1. Barris and Physioc now throwing down in the Chicago bullpen. Castillo with the 1-1. Runner goes, and it is hit in the air, center field, driving Glenn Allen Hill back. He's there, makes the catch, and Frank Castillo has his win. He wanted a shutout, but he'll settle for a 7-1 victory over San Diego.
Tremendous job by Frank Castillo. A great example of what changing speeds and moving the ball around in the strike zone can do for a pitcher. The biggest thing, he got ahead in the count. Pitched from a position of strength all night long by throwing 3 different pitches for strikes early on in the count. Made the hitters chase his pitches and consistently kept the ball down in the strike zone.
Well, even though Mike Morgan and Jose Guzman were lost earlier this year, the 1 and 2 pitches for Chicago, Tom Trebelhorn has to feel good about the way Bullinger, Traxel, Willie Banks, Kevin Foster, and now Frank Castillo have thrown in this season. I mean, you're talking about young pitchers coming up, giving you solid innings, and a complete game performance from that man, Frank Castillo, who wins his 2nd on the year. Again, our final score, the Cubs beat the Padres 7-1. Castillo with the win. Hamilton takes the loss. Don't forget, baseball night in America is scheduled to return next Saturday night at 7 Central, 6 Mountain here on ABC. Cubs go into their clubhouse smiling tonight. They got 7 runs in the San Diego Padres, and their best pitcher, Joey Hamilton, who loses for the 6th this year. For Lary Sorensen, I'm Steve Physioc saying so long from Wrigley Field. Let's go to Brent Musburger and Buck Martinez.